You have found Firebirds Weekly, a show about everything Firebirds. Thank you for stopping by. This week's guest is Grace Gionta, cheer coach for the Firebird Flames.
Good evening. Welcome to episode 11 of Firebirds Weekly. I am your host for this evening, Chris Sipperly. Adam Samarov is vacationing in Las Vegas, so I apologize everybody ahead of time. I'm joined by Grace Gionta, the coach of the Firebirds Flames. So thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks for
Can you
having
hear?
me tonight.
Of course, yeah. So the goal of the show is to kind of tell stories about everybody that puts their time and love into the team. So, with that, I want to take the opportunity to kind of get people introduced to you. So with that, the first question I have is, where did you grow up?
Sure. So I grew up in Hopewell Junction, New York. It's about an hour and a half south of Albany. So I grew up, we would take field trips up to Albany. I
Hmm.
came up for concerts up here, but just a little
Yep.
ways south. And then I moved up here for school when
Hmm.
I left for college. Yeah.
So where did you ultimately go to school?
So I went to college at RPI in Rensselaer, not very far from the
Yep.
arena. I
Hmm.
studied there for 5 years. I got my bachelor's in chemical engineering, and then I was
Hmm.
like, that's not enough, so let me stay for a fifth year. And I got my
Yeah.
master's in mechanical engineering. And then I love the area so much. I was like, I can't move away. There's still too much to do here. So
Hmm.
I moved a little ways north up in Ballston Spa, and
Yep.
I've been here ever since.
So recently, they're going through, player and coach posting for the Flames. Is that where you learned how to solve the Rubik's Cube? Was RPI? Did teach you how to do
Oh
that?
yeah, actually yes, yeah, it was a freshman bonding activity. Yeah,
Oh,
one way to
excellent.
make
Yeah,
friends.
yeah, no doubt. Going through your school, like, what was your strongest subjects?
Definitely math and science. I was such a chemistry nerd. I was obsessed. I had everything periodic table when I moved into
Hmm.
college.
Yep.
And then that's why I chose chemical engineering because I love math and science. And I was like, you know what, this is a path for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just
Yeah.
liked solving problems, and I think the path kind of opened up for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where you just kind of chase something that you love, and hopefully it opens other doors. And sounds like it did. So that sounds like it made some good choices there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, the flip side of that, what was maybe not your strongest subjects that you kind of didn't enjoy.
Yeah, definitely writing. It just felt so
Hmm.
tedious. Yeah, reading and writing, it was okay, but I was like, I'd rather, be studying something else. I was in all of the AP honors classes. When it came to
Hmm.
English, I was like, I'm taking the easy way out. Put me in the easiest class that you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah, and I think I like the very technical writing, no fluff, just
Yeah.
kind of the opposite of dance, obviously, right?
Right.
I
No,
was
I
like
can
in
no, I can
school,
appreciate
very
that.
structured
Yeah.
math and science,
Mm.
and then outside is where I had my fun.
No, absolutely. No, that makes sense because, like, I kind of in a similar
Yeah.
way. Like, it's one of those things that obviously you need to know how to do it, and you need to be well studied on it. But at the end of the day, there's more exciting things to do. So I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, when and where did cheerleading become a part of your life?
Yeah, so I started dancing when I was 3. My mom put my sister and I in dance classes, and I did everything from jazz, ballet, tap, baton twirling, hip hop. And I danced, for 15 years back in the studio. And
Hmm.
then when I got to college, I auditioned for the RPI dance team. And that was a competitive dance team. It was the first time I ever had competed.
Hmm.
And they did hip hop, jazz, and pom, which is the first time I had ever done pom. So I just
Hmm.
stuck with it. I know it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Like if I had never been put in,
Yep.
I don't know what I would be
Sure.
doing today because it's such a big part of my life.
Yeah. So where'd you kind of get the bug from? Like you said your mom kind of got you started with it. Was
Yeah.
there anybody that kind of inspired you, or someone you kind of like? I don't want to say looked up to. I guess is the best way of saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, so growing up, my grandma and grandpa danced at every single party that we had. If there
That's
was a
awesome.
dance floor, even if there wasn't a dance floor, if there was music, they were always up dancing. And I think their love of dance kind of trickled down. And it's something that you can share with everybody. It's something
Hmm.
that, you can enjoy and you put on a show for others too. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it just kind of stuck with me.
No, that's a beautiful thing. Life can
Yeah.
be serious, so being able to have something that makes you happy, that's pretty critical. Life can be pretty mundane otherwise.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that you had done some cheerleading and RPI. What was the next like?
Mhm.
So was it just RPI? Is that what? Sorry, you did it when you were younger. Did you do it in high school as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you went from high school to RPI,
I
and then
did.
what
Yeah. I
was it?
danced at the same. Yep.
Okay.
So after RPI, I had a great coach at RPI, Edwina McCormick, who coached me my entire RPI career. And when I
Hmm.
graduated in 2021, I returned to assistant coach, and I still assistant coach the team there
Hmm.
now, which is really fun to kind of see the other side. And that's how I started my
Hmm.
the coaching, I guess, portion of my career. And at the
Yeah.
same time, what was then the Albany Empire was having
Hmm.
auditions for the Empresses. So I
Hmm.
sent in a video audition for that kind of on a whim. I was like, you know what? If I make it, I make it. If I
Hmm.
don't, it is what it is. I'll stick around here coaching.
Sure.
And I had made the team that year back in 2021 and danced with the Empresses for 2 years, 2.5 years
Hmm.
before we became the Albany Firebirds.
Hmm. Now, when you going, when you coach RPI, do you think your dancers kind of, I don't know, understand what you're doing on a professional level? Like, does that help you kind of like buy into what you're teaching them at all? Do you think?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, a lot of so coaching at RPI is really fun because a lot of
Hmm.
us have the same, you know, education background.
Hmm.
We always say you're in this,
Right.
we're all in this boat together, and it's super
Hmm.
stressful. And dance was always the outlet that we could kind
Yep.
of, um, go and have fun in. So returning there to coach is fun because I have that perspective from being a student there to now coaching the team. If somebody has a physics 2 exam the next day, you know what that stress is
Right.
like that they're
Sure.
going through at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it's easy to relate in that sense.
Yeah,
But
that's big. That's really
yeah,
really big. Yeah, because like it's I have a coaching background. I've spent some time coaching, and one of the hardest
yeah,
tasks you'll have is trying to get is to relate to your players. So when it comes naturally like that, it's like two steps ahead. Like they know where you're coming from. You've walked the same path. You dealt with at least some of the similar problems.
yeah,
So I think that definitely really 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 helps. So you had said that
yeah. I feel like it helps build trust in them.
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, it's a relationship. Like when it comes to coaching, at least from my
Mhm.
viewpoint, I don't mean to speak for you. It's like it's a
No, no.
relationship at the end of the day, right? So if you don't have a good
Mhm.
relationship with your team, then I don't know how one would be successful. And
Mhm.
like for me,
Yeah,
and again, like not to compare it to what I've done in the past, but like a lot of it has to do with like you want to be able to see your people on your team like at the grocery store and be like, hey, how are you? It's good to see you, and like having that relationship is incredible.
yeah.
You know, so that's to me that's what it's about.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you had
Mhm.
said that you got the opportunity to try out as an empress, and then from there you became an Albany Firebird. So how many years did you cheer? So this will be year one. Sorry, year one of coaching, but year two in general with the team, right?
So this is actually my 5th year with arena football,
Uh, right.
dancing.
Yep. Hmm.
I was dancer for the first 2 years. Yeah, this is my 3rd year coaching the team. So I think now we've kind of gotten figured out what works. That first
Yeah.
transition year is a little bit tricky. How do I go
Hmm.
from being just a dancer on the team to now not
Right.
just coaching, but coaching and dancing? which I know a lot of people had warned me about before, like, are you going to be able to do both? It's going to be hard to
Yeah.
handle. And I had some doubts too, but I was blessed with the most incredible group of women on the team that
Hmm.
they just made it so easy to balance both.
No, that's great because, like, that is a pretty big undertaking. But I think a lot of times too, it really just kind of comes down to your will and your love for what you're doing. That takes you a long way, you know, and especially
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
like when you're able to like when your ladies are like bought in terms of yeah she means business, she has good intentions, she has great energy, she just knows how to lead them, and it's just like let's go, so that's a special thing. So going from being a cheerleader to coaching, what has been the
Yeah.
biggest surprise or challenge making that move from one to the other?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is, if I step out to watch the dance and I'm not in my spot and I'm like, ooh, this looks weird. I'm like, who's gonna fix that? And then I'm remembering,
Right.
oh, it's me. Like, I know
It's
I'm
me.
the one
Yeah, it's
that's
my
gonna
job.
gonna
Right.
fix this.
Yep.
Yeah. But like I said, I work with such a great group of women that I can step out, look at a dance, and if I need to run a section again, everyone is so willing to push themselves, to push each other on the team, will correct each other. Um, it's a very positive environment that we have going on the team. So yeah, I think the biggest challenge is just trying to, step out and make changes to the dance, make sure it looks good, and then also know my
Hmm.
place when we get on the field. I don't look crazy and I'm on the wrong
Right.
line or something.
Right. Right.
um,
100%.
but and then of course knowing, yeah, trying to balance it's one thing to dance. I always tell people when they join the team,
Hmm.
it's as much as we're the dance team Firebirds, we're 50% of the time we're dancing, but 50% of our job is also interacting with the community and what we do off the field.
Hmm.
So also trying to organize all of that. If we have a clinic going on, if we're doing any sort of promos,
Hmm.
with our sponsors, trying to balance all of that in addition to just the dancing part can be tough sometimes, but it's such a labor of love. I wouldn't change it.
No, I can appreciate that, and I think you hit on something that's very important. Sometimes I think it gets forgotten, like how ingrained this team is into the community. Like it matters to everybody involved. Like that's the thing. Like that's what you do this for. There is no other personal agenda other than
Yeah.
let's embrace the fans and give people something to get excited about. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Um, what's the biggest difference in between primarily like what's the biggest difference between cheerleading and coaching?
Ooh, the biggest difference, I think, I mean, when you're just dancing on the field, you're worried about knowing choreography for yourself and getting
Hmm.
yourself ready and making sure you're where you need to be and when you need to be there.
Hmm.
But being a coach is making sure that everyone believes in that same goal and everyone has that same goal that they're working towards, and creating an environment where people can, thrive and challenge themselves. Um, and it's not just about it's about your team, and kind of, making people believe in the bigger goal that
Sure.
we have for the
Yeah.
organization and the community too.
Mm. Yeah, that's big. It's like I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like it goes from uh doing your personal best versus trying to make everybody better. Though that's the big difference. I think. You know. Um,
Yeah.
so going through, so obviously, just like the team, there's a process to actually get the team put together. What does that look like? Like what
Yeah.
is like what's the time frame, and how does one get back on the team, and not back like they got thrown off, but on the team and then make the team? Like what is that
Of course.
process?
Yeah. Yeah, so we started our audition process was a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
Our sponsor, ABC Sports and Fitness in Latham, hosts us. Matt and his team
Hmm.
there are so great. They work with us and work with our crazy schedule all season.
Hmm.
But we start out auditions with a group warm up, a group stretch. We do some across the floor, which is like kicks, turns, leaps. And then we
Mm-hmm.
move into learning some dances. So part of what makes being on a pro team versus maybe studio or the collegiate level, um,
Mm-hmm.
what separates it is also how quick you have to learn things,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
quickly things can change. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe day of game, somebody's sick. All right, now we have to move spots and kind of figure that out. So we
Mm-hmm.
teach two dances. This year we did a pom dance and a hip hop dance to see kind of the range of our dancers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people thrive in one and kind of get a little bit nervous in the other. So you have to find a group that can, you know, can do both well. So, um,
Sure.
and then after that, we also ask every dancer some questions about what, you know, being on the team means to you, what the purpose of the team is in the organization and the community. Because, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, you know, half the time we're dancing and half the time we're the face to the public. So we have to be able to speak to our
Mm-hmm.
fans, to the kids that come to the games,
Sure, it's
and
big.
it's about, you know, yeah, it's like a 6 hour, probably 6 hour day that we do. Then we pick the
Mm-hmm.
team at the end of the day. Then we announced it the next day, and we start practicing next week. We had our boot camp last weekend. That was a,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 6 hour day of just learning dances, getting ready for the season, starting our sidelines,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of kicking things off.
So how do you mentioned, you know, a collegiate versus pro, like I would assume,
Yeah.
because I don't know, but on a college level there's more opportunity to practice and you spend more time together. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
of course, it depends on the team. I competed on three team in RPI, and we were together 3 times a week. Plus, we had a trainer, and we were always meeting
Mm-hmm.
outside in the studio. Um, but with the pro team, I mean, most of the women on the team are working full time or they're in
Yeah.
school full time, so
Mm-hmm.
scheduling can be a little bit more challenging. So we do 2 nights a week. And then sometimes we'll also learn choreo outside of practice, which makes things go a little bit faster when we are
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, not as often. I think that is probably typical for some of the other teams as well.
Mm-hmm. Now you, so how does it look like? Obviously, you know, you gotta spend some time in the arena. Like, how is that trying to manage getting, like, obviously you're gonna need to practice before game day. Like, how do you fit
Yeah.
in to the schedule to actually, like, something as simple as where to stand on the sidelines, like that sort of thing? Like, where is that?
Yeah.
When does that opportunity present itself?
It's funny. So we really don't hit the field until game day. So we practice in the studio at ABC, you know, for weeks leading up to a game. And then on game day, we typically have 2 hours at the
Hmm.
arena. Sometimes we're probably there earlier than some, you know, some of the players are
Yeah,
up and
sure,
ready to go.
absolutely. Yeah,
We
yeah,
get
you got
there
a
at
lot to
about
do.
11 a.m. or so.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a 12-hour day. So
Oh,
we
no
get
doubt.
there around 11. So usually like 11 to 1, we'll be on the field practicing, and that's going over our spots. And you can imagine the field's a little bit bigger than the studio that we're used to practicing in. So it
Sure.
takes some time to set things on the field. And you know, we're out there saying, all right, you're on this yard line, you're hitting this tick on this part of the
Hmm.
field, that logo is where you should aim to go out. So
Hmm.
we run through our dances that way, and then we kind of review, if anyone, you know, if you've been to the games, so we're usually on the side, the players run out, so we go over our spacing for that.
Hmm.
And then we'll practice our sidelines, and go over who's on which quarter. We have a break. Everyone gets 1 quarter off from sidelines, and usually during that quarter, you're hydrating, you're grabbing some a snack. You might be down in the
Hmm.
party zone talking to fans,
Sure.
and then we'll switch off so everyone kind of has that 1 quarter to rejuvenate after a long day.
Sure, yeah, it's a lot. I don't think people quite understand, like, how much work that really goes into it, which is part of the reason why we do the show. It's like there's a lot. It isn't just show up and do. It's show up. It's weeks of getting ready beforehand. So one question that came in that takes us
Yeah,
back a little backwards a little bit is, has most of
yeah,
the
sure.
dance team, sorry, has most of the team participated in dance in high school, like the girls on the team currently?
Yeah, sure. So the current team, most dance in high school, all at different levels, some competitive, some studio.
Hmm.
There's quite a few different backgrounds. Whether, you know, some people have never done pom before, some people have been doing it for years, but most of the current team danced while they were in high school.
That, I'm sure that certainly helps give them a baseline. You know, that'd be tough to kind of start from scratch, I
Yeah.
would imagine, because I don't think people really
Yeah.
understand how much
We
work
do.
goes into that.
Yeah, there's quite a few backgrounds. We have some that have cheered and haven't danced before. In the past, we've had gymnasts, just like
Hmm.
a wide range of different backgrounds. And at auditions, I always encourage everyone, if you can execute the dances, I don't care what you did before.
Right.
As long as you can be a thriving member of the team, sure, come and audition. It's open to everyone.
Oh, 100%. You know what? It's take the opportunity. You just never know because,
Yeah.
like I said, it's life is full of opportunities, and you never know where it's going to take you. So going through
Yeah.
the week and approaching to the game, I would assume that there's some scheduling and some discussions about when and where. How do you communicate that to the game day operations people? Like, how does that all work? Because if you've been in the game, you guys are very busy. Like, there isn't a lot of waiting around.
Yeah. Yeah, so we work with Nick, who has done the game day ops role in the past, and he'll
Hmm.
provide us a run of show, which is pretty much a breakdown minute by minute of
Hmm.
everything that's going to happen. Now, of course, we don't know exactly how the game is going to turn out and when a
Sure.
timeout is going to be, and how long things might be during the game. But minute by minute, we know where we're going to be exactly if kickoff's at 7 p.m. and we're lining up in the tunnel at 6:54, and at 6:55 we're getting let out onto the field. So I'll get
Hmm.
that printout from Nick ahead of time, and then I'll go in the locker room with the team and kind of run through
Hmm.
that schedule, when the different promos will be. Everyone always wants to know when we're throwing t-shirts. That's the most exciting thing in the locker
Sure.
room, is which dancers are getting to throw t-shirts at a game. I
Yeah.
think the audience is just as excited to get them as we are to throw them. So um it's a team effort, because I can spew all the times to the team, but I need them to lock that in and remember, so that way I can do sidelines and know, like, third quarter, they're going to be out, we're ready to go for
Mm.
the next promo, helping with the hamburger and
Yep.
ketchup mustard costumes. So
Yep. Yeah, there's
yeah.
there's a lot that goes on. I would, like, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and it's like I don't think, and again, it's not a slight. I just don't think people really understand how much work goes into it just to kick the football game off, let alone all the stuff that you guys do to make it,
Yeah.
like, it's all about experience, right? Like, you want people to have a good time. In
Mhm.
order to do that, you got to put in the work, love what you do, and hopefully kick some butt,
Yeah.
along the way, because that's big.
Yeah. It's
Um,
funny because I feel like once you see behind that curtain, like any, if you go to a concert or any other show, you're
mhm.
like, oh, I know this person's running around backstage right now. So now we peek behind the curtain and kind of know all the ins and outs of what makes, game day happen the way it does.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. Actually, this is a question that I didn't really anticipate answering. But do you ever look around
Yeah.
to the other teams in the league to kind of see what they're up to, or do you just kind of do the Flames and not really get mixed up in that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of do our own thing. I think every
Yeah.
team has its own personality. I have talked to some of the other dance team coaches to kind of
Hmm.
bounce ideas off each other, and how are you doing things?
Hmm.
And just kind of see what we have. A lot of great dance teams, outside of our league too, just in the
Yes.
Albany area, from the
Yes.
Firewolves, the Wolfpack dance
Hmm.
team, the Patroons, or the Emerald. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of great teams and other coaches to look up to and learn from in the area. So I try to keep up with with
Yeah.
what everybody's doing, but also keep
Hmm.
us on our own path and do what makes the Flames the Flames.
Right, and that's the thing. I think that's actually kind of lead into another few more questions that I have. But a question I did forget to ask you is how
Yeah.
many dancers are on the team this year?
There's 13, including myself, which usually makes for some good formations on the field, because for anybody that's danced, or the same way for football has plays and people have to be in
Hmm.
certain places at certain times,
Yeah.
dancers have to be in their spot at different times. So 13's a good number to work with, at least for
Yeah.
us on the field.
Yeah. I mean, plus, yeah, yeah. No, it's that's that's a good number. So going through the week, does obviously the program has to change for what you guys, I would assume, week to week. Where do the ideas usually come from in terms of music choices and dance styles?
Yeah. There's a wide variety. I mean, I feel like we like to, of course, perform to things that we as a team enjoy, but we also want to make sure it's relatable for the audience. So I think we do a good mix, like current pop
Hmm.
music, and then also some fun, throwbacks like the '80s rock songs. I feel like always get everybody going. Parents and
Yeah.
kids alike. If
Hmm.
Thunderstruck comes on or Back in Black, those are the ones that everybody,
Yeah.
gets everybody going. So we try to do a good balance of both. To make everybody happy.
Now, do you like what's the I'm sure there's some ideas that get thrown around, but like what kind of input do you look for as a coach, or do you kind of have a good idea most weeks what you want to
Yeah.
do?
We go back and forth. I take a lot of the team's input on that.
Hmm.
If there's a theme night, sometimes if we can gear
Yeah.
dance towards that, that's always fun. We have a lot of great talented dancers on the team who have choreographed. Kristen, Adrian, Autumn have all contributed dances during the season.
Hmm.
Or sometimes it's just, this is the dance that looks best on us right now. This is what we're gonna put on the best show with. Let's use this one. But typically we're planning, 2 or 3 games ahead. We know what we want to perform. We try to do a good mix, right, of the jazz dances, the fun sassy ones, or the kind of more low gritty hip hop dances.
Hmm.
It's yeah, we try to change it up throughout the season.
So another question that came in: roughly how many different routines do you have to put together over a year? Is it new every week, or is it kind of like you sprinkle in some favorites, I guess?
Yeah, we do have a few favorites. This year we're planning. We have 6 planned home games for the regular season. So the goal is 10 dances. So we'll probably reuse 2 throughout the season.
Hmm.
If somebody is sick, or maybe there's someone that knows they're going to be out for work for a game, it's easy to
Sure.
kind of rework a dance that we already know.
Hmm. Right.
Um, but we try not to, reuse too many. It's fun. It's fun for us too, and challenging to learn new choreography. But we'll bring back some of our favorites from last season, and then learn a bunch more for the upcoming one.
Well, your answer is perfect for the next question. Do you or the team have a favorite dance routine?
Ooh, do I have a favorite one? I think one of my favorites is a hip hop routine that we did at the end of last year. It was choreographed by Autumn and Adrian, 2 of the dancers on the team, and we're
Hmm.
excited to bring that one back again this year. It was a big challenge. It took us quite a few weeks to learn and clean and get ready to put
Hmm.
on the field. And I'm
Right.
excited to, dance that with some of the new members of the team this year. And then I think my other favorite is probably the one we used for auditions. It was one that I had choreographed this year. That at first I started choreographing and I was like, oh, I'll just be something quick for auditions. And then
Hmm.
slowly kind of developed into a dance that I was like, oh, like this is gonna look good on the field. I'm excited for the audience to see it. Because I think one thing too that some people, if you've ever danced before, you haven't, what you don't think about is, what might look good in the studio or maybe on a
Mm.
smaller stage doesn't always translate to the field. I mean, the arena's
Right.
pretty big, right?
Mm.
As a kid, it felt huge when I was there
No.
for
Yeah.
concerts when
Yeah.
you're up in the second
Hmm.
tier. My
Yeah.
parents
The
come to every
300s.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my parents are at every game. They drive an hour and a half every single time, and they sit all the way up high so they can get the full view, make sure the formations look good, get
Taking
the
notes.
good,
Yeah.
yeah, good video angles. This
Yeah.
worked, but this didn't work. My dad has
Yeah.
no problem telling me when our sidelines are, if they're
Yeah.
not together, he will be the first
Hmm.
one that lets me know after the game.
So you're saying it's a family
Yeah.
business then?
Oh, yeah. It takes
That's
a
great.
village.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. So now that you say that you have your folks up above, what do you guys look back on? Do you
Hmm.
do you kind of watch back the game broadcast to see like how things are going, and then like
Yeah.
okay, so how do
Yeah.
you go ahead? Go ahead. I
We,
didn't mean to interrupt
no,
you.
no, you're good. We do try to watch back and see what worked. Sometimes the
Mhm.
formations that make sense in the studio hit the field and they don't exactly translate the way we want them to. So again, if we're gonna
Mhm.
reuse a dance, it's something that we might change up. Um, you know, the choreography or just
Mhm.
how it was laid out, maybe who was doing what. Some people have different strengths. So we'll change that up for the next
Mhm.
time around. But I do watch a lot of tape, and I'll go in and screenshot and, make notes for myself about what cleans I have to go back to practice and
Mhm.
say, this leg wasn't high enough, you're out of your spot here, and how can we make
Mm.
it better?
Mhm.
And I think the same way, the team, the guys from the Firebirds would
Sure.
do and watch tape to improve for the next game. We kind of do the same.
Well, that's great. And the next question we have from the stream is: do you get recognized as dancers when you're out in the public?
It's funny. I don't think so. Which is probably, it's kind of nice to be. I feel
Yes.
like in a way
Yeah.
we're sort of local celebrities on game day when we're all in
Mhm.
makeup and in uniform. But
Sure.
it's nice to kind of be a nobody when I leave, and
No, I
girls
can
reach
appreciate
out.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's yeah. I mean, you love, yeah. Say no more. I understand
yeah,
completely. Um,
yeah.
so I gotta. Let's see. As a cheer coach, what
Yeah.
does a successful season look like?
I think first and foremost, of course, is did we put on a great show? Did we connect with the
Hmm.
fans? And did the team enjoy it while we were doing it? Nobody's in it, and I think Coach Ware said this too on his episode. Like, you're not doing it for the money, and if you are, you're in the wrong place, right?
Yeah.
We're all there because we love the being part of the community and
Hmm.
dancing. So a successful season is really just getting all those new dances learned, and connecting and meeting new people, and recruiting new dancers as well.
Hmm.
We're so lucky to get 4 new dancers this year. Super talented. I'm excited for their rookie season and to see them hit the field this year. So, yeah, I think that's what a successful year would look like.
Well, I want to really thank you for your time. We're
Oh,
looking
thank
for
you, Chris.
everybody's looking forward to the home opener on March 21st against Southwest Kansas. So
Mhm.
we hope to speak to you guys again. And again, thank you for your time, and thank you for everybody that's taking the time to watch up all the way up to till episode 11. And with that, we will talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.